talk about this to start because this is, to me, one of the biggest stories that's been percolating for years. And it's the Snow White adaptation.
Oh, the redo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, when they first announced this, I think we were in like a different pop culture era.
When did they announce it?
It was like 2021 or something like that. And they shot this a few years ago, but they've had to, and I'll get into this in a second, like re-edit this thing a ton. And when they shot it, when they announced it, Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones and many other projects, who is a brilliant actor, was on a podcast talking about dwarfism and, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And he said, I think that the whole dwarf concept's a little outdated.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be using it. So it's interesting. So that prompted Disney to go, okay, maybe he's right. So we're going to have 7 people. So apparently they shot the original movie with just 7 people. Just 7 random people that live together in a house.
Here's the 7 men.
Yes. And it was like men and women, whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And then what happened was there is a group of people with dwarfism in Hollywood who were pissed with Peter Dinklage because they're like, hey man,
you just took away our rent. You just took away our mortgage payments.
So that's a B story. The A story is Rachel Ziegler, who's the lead actress, and Gal Gadot are both in a way supposed to have hurt this project. Now, Rachel Ziegler, a couple years ago, you might have seen this on TikTok. She put out a video talking about how she was on a red carpet. And they were talking about how they were updating the story, right? Because obviously the Peter Dinklage part, that updates the story. And then she was saying, well, listen, like it was made in 1937.
Yeah.
It's dated. And this one's going to be about, Snow White wanting to be a leader. And I think what was crazy about that was the backlash, not just from like the hardcore right, but like across the spectrum from people going, sometimes I just want to see a love story, man.
Yeah.
And so I think that they kind of misread that. And then you have her putting out stuff about Palestine. And then obviously Gal Gadot, her co-star, served in the Israeli military forces. And so there's like this whole thing.
Yeah.
With this, so nothing in this movie can win. And then, so what do they do with it? They go back to the 7 dwarves or the 7 people, right?
They keep making it.
Well, they made the movie, but then they made them 7 magical beings or something. So now they're CG. They're not actors anymore. They're CGI, and they're tall, but they have like big noses and big cheeks and sort of like the cartoon version. And nobody can really make sense of what this is because this is Snow White's like the piece of IP for Disney, right?
Oh, of course, that's
the original.
Yeah, that's
right.
It's like bringing Wicked back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what's apparently happened is this movie's just flopping, and it costs $250 million to make. It's only supposed to make $50 million at the box office, Jackson. What's crazy about it is if you were to make a movie at $250 million, you expect to spend at least that much marketing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a $500 million piece.
See, maybe I'm getting propaganda on my phone, but I heard that it was the best remake in history, and I didn't look into it. Okay, so first of all, I'll say this: I don't know why we keep remaking. I know that there's only a certain amount of ideas, like there's a certain amount of chords when it comes to music. So you have to somewhat remake. But it seems like they had a lot of exit lanes, on like being like, maybe let's pause on this. Also, I mean, did Sex and the City not teach us anything about bringing shows back the wrong way or the L word? No.
Well, so weirdly enough, on that point, the Lion King remake, the Beauty and the Beast remake, the Little Mermaid remake, all had really, really good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can remember going to see the Jungle Book remake too. It had crazy numbers. And people were like, I can't believe the CGI and this is amazing. And they're not using any real animals because that was also a big concern, right? Like you can't, they've taken a stance. There's no more Air Bud. Like you can't go using an animal anymore.
The legacy.
Right.
From Dartmouth. Yeah.
So Vulture, which is a pretty big a pretty big website called the film Garishly Ugly and Lacking in Charm. It's garishly ugly and padded out with new tunes that are about as smooth and unremarkable as River Rocks. That's one of the. Now, it's interestingly.
God, that's scathing.
It's so interesting because when you look at Rotten Tomatoes, the audience scores are actually pretty good. Like,
and that's because, I mean, yeah, my TikTok is skewed, but I've heard good things. I have no interest, but I've heard good things.
Somebody else said, it's too cheesy, too over the top, too visually flat, brimming with hyperactive theater kid energy. That's better suited for Disney Princess's cruise ship show.
Theater kid energy makes me feel crazy.
Yeah. And so I guess.
Don't frig our microphones
Sorry, I know
up
I'm messing
here.
the microphones
God.
up. I guess you kind of hit on something really important. Why do this? And I think it's interesting. Do you remember when we were growing up and we'd have those VHSs that came in those plastic
I can smell them.
You can smell them when you open them and you can hear it, right?
I can taste the edges.
And for anybody that's younger than us that doesn't remember that, there was a time when Disney used to claim that a movie from 50 years ago, so like a Snow White made in 1937, was quote unquote coming out of the vault.
Yeah.
And that they were only taking it out of the vault for a limited time, and you'd see it at like Costco or something. And it's like, I better buy this because it's not going to be available
ever again.
Not knowing, of course, that the internet age was really coming. So they used to make that claim. So you'd go and you'd buy and these VHSs were like $30
in the big white cases.
Yes, and they take up so much covered space.
Oh my God.
And so we would go and we'd buy them, and you'd buy like a 3-pack or something like that to make sure you got, a Little Mermaid and Cinderella and say Beauty and the Beast or whatever. And you grab them all in the 3-pack. So they did that. And the other thing they did to make money was they came out with sequels to just about all of their classics.
Yeah.
So they had like Lion King 2.
Yes.
I think they had like Peter Pan 2, Return to Neverland.
Was 101 Dalmatians a
They had 102 and 103 Dalmatians. Yep.
So many Dalmatians.
So many dogs.
Too many, one could say.
So now I think this is like sort of the new age version of it. And I almost wonder, like, I like Disney movies. I think nostalgia had a real moment between like 2015 and 2018, you know what I mean? Where everybody's like, oh, remember how great that was? And South Park's parroting it with their Memba berries and all that. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, this feels tired.
Can I say something? We need to move on.
Okay, tell me about that.
And you know how I feel about Disney World? Maybe I feel.
Have you been, by the way?
No, my parents took me to PEI, not Disney World. Christ,
okay, you love Disney World. It is fun.
You know what? And Disney adult.
It's Disney adults,
It's Disney
right,
adult energy that makes me feel like uncertain. And our producer Stephanie is shaking her head because she's a Disney adult.
Yeah,
and she's proud of it. It's just, I don't know. It's just like, go hike or go to an adult place. Don't go to the kingdom. And it feels a bit culty to me. And I love a cult, but not that cult.
So, and when you see a movie like this come up, so let's say, I don't know what else you would do live action, but
bring back the Goofy movie, and I'm in.
Live action Goofy
now
movie?
that is a
great
flick.
movie.
That is a flick. I'm on board if that's being remade.
I did love that movie.
It was so good. It was good.
What is it though? Why does it feel? I almost compare it to the Marvel movies too. Like those used to be, and I know those were never your thing, but
I'm like, what movies do I like? I sound like a angry.
You like art house, like weirdo.
No, I like true crime. No, I like Bridget Jones' Diary.
Yeah, which they've done 40 of, so that's good.
More the merrier.
Yeah. I think they could reboot that.
Didn't they just have a reboot of it?
Well, without Renee Zellweger though, did they?
I don't know. There's so many diaries.
That's something you could reboot.
I love it. Or give me anything with Julia Roberts.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, she doesn't do much anymore. You know, you noticed that?
Yeah, no, I know.
If they redid, what are the classic movies she's in? Like Notting Hill.
Could they
redo Notting Hill?
Runaway Bride. Like give me Pretty Woman, which is incredibly problematic. So maybe they do need to remake.
Problematic's good though. That creates tension.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Maybe they
of that
do
movie.
need. Let's do a redo of that, Julia.
No kissing on the lips.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to figure out what it is, but sometimes you just look at it and you go, I think I'm done here. I think you got to find something else.
I think there is so much more to do, and we need to get away from the castle, is what we need to do.
Well, have you heard of, you were worried about Disney adults. Have you heard of Club 33?
No.
So it is a Disney private members club at Disney World. And you have to wait on a list for years to get on this.
What's in the club?
Okay, you want to know?
No,
okay, I'm just pulling it up.
I do, but
yes,
I don't.
Do. So Club 33, the price, by the way, it's Republican. Tens of thousands of dollars.
It feels Republican. That feels Republican, that group.
Essentially, it's an elevator inside of like a club, and there's a lounge.
Do you know
there's dining, And there's a trophy room.
For what trophies?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
Trophies? Like, yeah. I hate it.
It's a full blown, and you can look at it on the Walt Disney World website. It's kind of wild. And if you want to get on a membership, it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. And I can remember a story where somebody was kicked off, and I think it was because they had been misbehaving at the park. And they sued to get back on and lost the case.
They sued the club?
They sued Disney to give them their membership back because they'd spent the money, and Disney's like, well, you poorly behaved, you can't be here. And then they were like, okay, well, we won't be poorly behaved. And Disney's like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. Like, we're keeping this now. And anyway, they tried to sue to get their membership back. They didn't want the money back. They wanted the membership. It really matters to people.
Like, just dream bigger. Dream.
Well, that's the point. I think that's how they feel.
No, dream bigger than that. Dream bigger than that.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So getting back to this Snow White, I think Disney's got some problems because I look at this. First off,
I don't mean to
Gal Gadot delivers her worst performance ever in Snow White, and that is really saying something. Is a headline from Discussing Film, which is a big.
Yeah.
She's not. You know, she just got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's made her money.
Yeah.
I look at somebody like Rachel Ziegler, who is, I think, a pretty talented person, has a ton to offer. And I wonder, like, is this one of those things that derails your career, or do you just move on and go, this is bad, and find another way?
You know, when you're like 3 stops ago, I should have gotten away from that project or gotten away from that person.
Yeah.
I think 3 stops ago, they're going to be like, oh, this was what, yeah. Let it rest.
They wouldn't let critics see the movie either.
Square peg, round hole, let it rest.
Yeah. Just move on. It never happened. Throw it in the background.
And that's okay. That's okay, Disney. Just stop. God.
It's one of those ones that I think is going to go down as not fantastic for
goofy
for
movie.
Them. Goofy movie. There you go. I honestly, I don't know why they would redo anymore. I think they're done. I think they've cooked the Marvel universe. I think they've cooked live action. I think you got to come up with some new fairy tale, or try to revive Star Wars, because it's. Certain parts of that have taken it.
No,
listen, the world can benefit from more Star Wars.
That trilogy's too long.